Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Strategic Priorities, Communications, and Intergovernmental Cooperations Committee. I am pinch hitting for Councillor Beck, who is online today but unable to attend in person. So I am chairing his meeting for him, but he is here if anyone has any questions for the chair. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Do we have any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, can I get an approval of the agenda? Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by His Worship. Is there any business approval of the draft minutes from March 23rd? Yeah, okay, moved by His Worship, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. Any business arising from those minutes? Okay. Moving on, then we can go right on to our first and only report for today, and that's the 2023 Community Survey RFP Award. You'll see that there is a report from Carly in your package, and I'll turn it over to Carly.
Thank you, Chair Yankoff, and good afternoon to committee members. So the 2023 Community Survey staff report that's before you today is follow-up to what we've been discussing in previous reports, but we're at a nice point here where we're able to recommend to committee the award of the RFP. And we all know the importance of the community survey. Many other Canadian municipalities are doing these. We did one in 2021, and this is just to really build on that and set some benchmarks for us in terms of continuous improvement, but also measure our strengths and opportunities going forward. In terms of the RFP, we were really satisfied in that we received 13 submissions. Based on the scoring of the evaluation committee, that's city staff, Advanus was ranked as the highest scoring proposal. And that scoring is really based on project understanding, methodology, and their experience that was detailed in their proposal. It was quite clear and it was well detailed, so we were quite excited to see that one come forward. In terms of project timing, it will be further confirmed with a successful proponent, but we imagine the project kickoff could happen immediately or in the week following should this go through to council and be approved. So we're talking mid-May. That would then mean the survey in terms of the impact to the community and when they can start to provide feedback would be into early June. So a draft resolution is included in your package just so you would know specifically what staff are suggesting as a recommendation, and I'm here to address any questions you might have about the submissions or the community survey going forward.
Thank you, Carly. Does anyone have any questions for Carly or myself or for Councillor Beck?
I do, Madam Chair. So through the chair to Carly. Carly, I'm just looking at Advanus. They're out of Toronto?
Through the chair to your worship, they're actually out of Alberta.
Okay. So if I go down to MRSB, Charlottetown? Is that MRSB?
Yes, they have an office here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MQO, are they out of Newfoundland or Halifax? Is that?
They also have an office here.
Okay. When we did, I asked you about this before, I think when you and I were speaking about it. We did a call out. Did we do a tender call out through the local newspaper, online and so forth, or is just we go online?
Through the chair to your worship, the RFP was put out through our finance department, and I believe it was online. So that's just charlottetown.ca/tenders for all the public tender process.
And that is following the requirements of the tender process, is that we just go do it online, we don't do it through a local or traditional media?
That's correct, and that's my understanding.
Okay. Just a second question, Madam Chair. So Advantus is at 85 points, whereas Narrative, now is Narrative local? I don't think they're local, Narrative. I think they're, again, Central Canadian or maybe out west.
Through the chair, I believe they have multiple offices with one in Halifax.
Right. And we're doing a community survey similar to what we did in 2021. And I think There were 500 calls made for that survey, talking about services, elected officials. So when you look at the point difference between 81 and 85, a survey is a survey, right? So just trying to get a grasp on what's so scientific or what's the empirical data that we're looking for when we look at it.
Yeah, thank you
Point
for the
spread of
question. If
4
I can.
points.
So through the chair, Your Worship, that's correct. We're actually doing things a little differently, and I'd say even a little better. And that's our goal, right? Continuous improvement. So we are looking at 500 completes in terms of the telephone survey. And what that does is it includes landline and cell phone. We know, and even Advantis was the one proponent to say specifically what data looks like on PEI in Charlottetown specifically. So that's, a large majority of cell phone users. So they've actually already factored that into what they would deliver for us. They would target cell phone, but they'd go to landline. But the value adds that they've included at no cost to us include pulse outs. And pulse outs mean they can, with our permission, actually send a text to somebody's phone, and then when they call them, they get a live interviewer. So they call back at their most convenient time. And they also, as a value add at no cost to us, won't use a 1-800 number. They've suggested a local 902 number. So when you do see it, it looks a little bit more familiar. Additionally, one big difference from 2021 to this survey is we've added the online survey portion. We know that only 500 completes will be done on phone, but what this does, it allows the rest of the community to also weigh in and have their say on the same questions.
And we didn't do this before for 2021?
We did not do it in 2021. So this is another area that we thought would improve our overall survey results and get additional engagement.
Okay. And Madam Chair, just a couple more questions. So we're doing a detailed post of the survey online through charlottetown.ca, charlottetownhall.ca. I know when we did the 2021 survey, it talked about what we're doing here administratively, politically, just about the community. So we now have a strategic plan. Will this be part of the survey about how we're trying to reach different objectives in our strategic plan? And secondly, do we plan to get our annual report out before we do this survey so we have a base for residents to just say, yeah, I can tie back into that. I saw it in your annual report for 22, 2023. Is just a couple of the strategic plan, and then how we could align it up with the annual report for 22, 23.
Thank you for Thank you for the question, Chair Yankoff, through you to Mayor Brown. Really good question. So the first question around strategic plan measures and tying it to survey, that is a conversation I've had with the CAO, and we look forward to including it in the survey so that we have some measures and some indicators going forward. What that looks like down the road, it could become part of the corporate business plan, which is a reference the CAO has given. So that's a nice indicator there. On the second part, in terms of our annual community report, I'm also pleased to report it's actually at the printer right now. We have the final version ready to go. It's in the hopper, and we hope to launch it next week. We're ready to go, I can tell you that. So that'll be in the hands of residents before the survey launches.
So finally, Madam Chair, it's again, the more information residents have that they can tie it to what we're reporting, and then hopefully reflect in what they say in the survey. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions, and through you, Chair Yankoff, to Mayor Brown, I'll just reconfirm this annual community report has really been developed by department heads and their teams. So they've been able to provide the priorities and initiatives that we've been working on last year and are leading into this year. So the actual plan itself is aligned to our 4 strategic pillars, and that's what we're going to see launch next week. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor McKinnon.
Just, I guess for my own curiosity, and I'm just looking at the numbers here, the cost came in at 31.8 plus HST, approximately 36,000. Budgeted was 60,000. So did we save 20 plus for operational budget? How does that work? It's more for my curiosity.
Through the chair to Councillor McKinnon, we were thinking we needed about $50,000 based on what we saw on the public procurement website. That's what we saw publicly disclosed with other municipalities. Clearly, some live up to that, and it seems like others were able to lower their costs in some way. So we were quite surprised to see them come in around the 30 range, with the expectation it would be closer to 50, but planning for inflation and other things that we've all been made aware of more recently, we gave ourselves a little bit extra budget there. In terms of remaining, I think I would like to defer to the CAO a little bit on that. However, it's not to say we're going to spend it all. We're going to use this project budget. We're going to spend a little bit on promotional, which we had already approved through the operating budget, but the remaining is outside of my authority to direct.
Thank you.
Thank you, through the chair. With remaining budget like this, if it was a budget line item specifically for the survey, if we want to reallocate those funds for different work or a different project, that's something we would be bringing through to council since it was specifically earmarked in this case. Thanks.
Thank you, CAO Mohammed. Councillor Beck, I know you're on the phone. Do you have any questions for the folks here?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we do have a proposed resolution that committee can decide if they are comfortable moving this along to council. So do I have somebody who would like to move the recommendation from committee? Okay, moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by his worship. Okay, so that was our only item on the agenda, unless somebody has some new business they want to bring up. Anybody have any new business?
Just under the new business, Madam Chair, I did speak to the CAO about this and also Norman, Councillor Beck. I'd just like to put on a future agenda for strategic priorities, communication, and intergovernmental cooperation. Elections PEI and responding to what they sent to us regarding election 2026. I think that we need to have it requires a discussion, and I think we'll work on a plan. It doesn't have to be today, just notification for the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship, and that's noted. Any other new business?
Yeah, I have something, Madam Chair. I know we had discussed at maybe a January meeting the question about the religious signage bylaw, and then we were going to defer that to our DEI, the RFP that would have been coming in from there. And I guess it's kind of back in limbo land where it was before. I think that's a discussion that we should have. I don't know if it's now or whether it's at a later meeting, whatever it might be. But I do know there is. I think it's something that we have to come up with a resolution to it. I don't want to go back through another several months or come back to Christmas season next year and have a kind of a no answer for this. So I know I'm not sure what the feelings of the committee would be or what the correct approach is. Being a little still new to this, I'm kind of uncertain myself, but I would like to have some kind of, I don't know, I guess direction or understanding or approach that we want to do to address this question.
Thank you, Councillor Beck. I guess I should either defer this to Carly or CAO Mohammed. Who wants to take this?
Thank you, Committee Chair. I think this is a raised item. We can add it to the next agenda and provide a background report for it and a recommendation for next steps to help address this topic, if that works.
Works for me.
Yeah. Could I add, just Madam
Yes.
Chair, there are best practices throughout the region. I know in Moncton, the city of Moncton, they do have a nativity scene in front of City Hall for the festive season. So there must be something that addresses religious celebrations in the city of Moncton. And I'm sure it would be the same for Truro, Halifax. So if we could reach out to those other communities, I believe Halifax does have a task force or an advisory committee on equity, inclusion, and diversity. I think that they would be someone that we could reach out to and just get some other policies or best practices in our sister communities of the Atlantic region. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I just had one other item for new business, and that is something that seems to be coming up on a regular basis around the city's website. Like the Charlottetown Hall website is very easy to navigate. It's so simple to find things. It's so user-friendly. But there's a lot of feedback that our original website is, you know, you're looking for agenda items and it's under mayor and council instead of like, you'd never think that bylaws would be under mayor and council, but so there just seems to be, and I'm just wondering if that's an item that we could add to the agenda for just a discussion around some improvements to the folks out there being able to navigate that site better.
Thank you, Committee Chair. That certainly can be added to the next agenda as well there. I can quite frankly put out there too that administration also has some concerns about how some things are laid out on the website and how we could do it a little better. So information is easier to find and maybe a little bit more intuitive for people who are outside of City Hall to understand what they're looking for. So we can add that to the next agenda to look into. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, it is data rich. There's a lot of data on that website. So to navigate it, you can't have an old Commodore 486 to navigate our website because it would blow up. I would say that, you know, look at a redesign of this website and mimic it or imitate it, mirror it to what we're doing with charlottetown.ca.
Great.
I think
Go
think it's important. I wouldn't mind my own kind of in-servicing in terms of understanding where to find information, because if I get questions from residents, I don't feel equipped myself to even know where to direct people to. So I think maybe an onboarding or something for maybe all councillors, certainly the new ones. I think the newly elected ones would probably share the same deficiencies, I guess, if you will, or lack of training or understanding about where to go and how to access stuff. And because if we're going to get questions, it's good for us to be able to know how to work it well too. And I don't, personally speaking, I don't feel very equipped to know how to navigate it myself.
I agree with you there. Sorry, Madam Chair. That the navigation of the website, it is difficult, and I had a gentleman kind of express his issues with me this morning about how he's frustrated with the website as well, trying to find information on it. So I think we need better tabs or better criteria on there, easier to find stuff. So.
Make it simple like Charlottetown dot, like that's such
I have
a
it right here,
user-friendly.
charlottetown.ca, but I see a new add-on, sign in. So that's an add-on that you put in there. It says sign in, register. Is that something that's part of Charlottetown Hall?
So through the chair to your worship, charlottetownhall.ca has that extra feature if some surveys, and only if we choose to, make them so that they are one per user. That's the purpose of the registration, although if you're to go to the site as a user without signing in, you can see all the same information. There's just a few surveys where departments have indicated they want to make sure they're hearing from everyone
Yeah.
and not the same person.
I need a lot of, this charlottetownhall.ca is something we need to promote more through social media and boost it through Facebook, just to get people to go to it, because it's very clean and easy to navigate. Thank you.
Thank you, and through the chair to your worship, I can tell you I'm working on at least 3 or 4 projects at the moment that will continue to launch through charlottetownhall.ca because we want to hear from residents in terms of feedback. So we'll continue to use that. It has the built-in online survey tools. It has background reporting. So it's now data-driven decisions that staff will be coming back to in terms of feedback from the community.
Thank you, Carly. And I know we talked last month about putting a little bit more of the Charlottetown branding. Was there any update on that?
So we did some cursory looks, and we've seen it go both ways. The majority, although the municipal site is different and distinct from their engagement platform. So if the direction and choosing is to simply make ours look more similar, that's no problem. But in our initial scans, they're actually 2 different logos, 2 different sites. They want it to be, I think, more friendly, if I can say it that way, than the corporate-looking brand, and they wanted it differentiated. We're totally open to that discussion and that change. On our end, it's pretty simple, so we're open to that.
Great. Now, is that a discussion where you want to have today, or should that be an item for the next meeting?
Could we put that to the next
Yes.
meeting, please? I'd like to.
Next- Yep.
That's a good item to put up on our website to say that we will be discussing it at the next public meeting of this committee, standing committee.
Perfect.
Thank you,
Great.
Madam Chair.
So if there's no other additional new business, I will look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by His Worship and seconded by Councillor McKinnon. Thank you, folks.
Enjoy your trip, Norman and Sharon.
Thanks, Chair.
Bon voyage.